Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fierce and Pretty. And today I have a special guest with me. Today is the day I've been waiting for a long time because I have the amazing Cilla Conway with me today. So, hi, Cilla, and thank you so much for coming.
Hi, honey, and it's great to be with you.
Because I said to Cilla that people like us don't have the opportunities to talk with our idols many times in our lifetime. And like for me, there are two women that I would love to talk with, and the other one is Lady Frida Harris. And there's not much I can do in this realm to talk with her. So to be able to sit down and talk with you, Scylla, it means so much to me. So thank you. But I would love to start talking a bit about your history because I know that not all of my viewers own your deck or know you so well. So, could you just tell the interesting story of your life? Because I know you've seen the world and you've been in places and lived in places. So, if you want to share something.
Okay. I was born in Holland, and then my parents moved out to Zimbabwe. Well, it was Rhodesia then. They moved out when I was 1. And when I was 2, I had a sister who died, and that's really influenced me because she was 6 weeks old. And so I've always had this missing sister somewhere along the line, you know. She's in a lot of my paintings. Um, then what happened? Oh, well, Zimbabwe, Rhodesia was a beautiful place, absolutely superb place to be brought up in. It was like wild. You could still go out into the bush. And I remember my dad took us for a drive to see his friends once, and there was a bushfire in the distance, but I was terrified. I was like, oh, because bushfires are scary, really scary, because they go anywhere. And we were in this little Ford Transit thing, and I was fully expecting it to stop working and us be burnt. So that was nice, but I was sent to school. I was sent to a church school. Bad idea, really bad idea. um, I won't bore you with my history with the nuns. They didn't like me, and I didn't like them, and I couldn't wait to leave. So I went to art college. My dad didn't want me to do art. That's another big history, My dad didn't want me to do art. And I couldn't understand why. He said it was because I had a brain. Now, why artists can't have brains, I have no idea. Most of the top artists that I love are incredibly brainy, incredibly intellectual. Their work is challenging, So he tried to make me do science. I didn't. And I finally did get to a tech college down in Durban in South Africa. Managed to stay for 2 years and got pretty depressed. What happened then? I left. I went back to Zimbabwe and met a guy. He came over to Britain. He's got a peculiar background: Polish, Irish, Scots, and French. 3/4 of each, So I followed him to Scotland, and eventually we settled in London. And that was when I first met the tarot. We were watching TV on this funny little black and white screen, and he said, "Oh, you should get a deck." And I said, "God, no, they're ugly, they're horrible." And 6 months later, I said, "I've got to have a pack of tarot cards." So we went off and I bought a deck, which I couldn't use, the Swiss IJJ.
Yeah.
So I started painting my own. I got all these pictures of medieval carpets and tapestries and stuff. So I painted this rather bad tarot deck, which I eventually sold to Stuart Kaplan. And I bought a dishwasher, as one does, Yeah, so I was, oh, that's right. And then one evening, I've told the story so often now, so many people must know it. I was doodling, watching TV on this black and white bloody screen. And I looked down and I'd drawn a fool. I mean, I wasn't even looking, I was just drawing. And that's the fool there on your screen.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, that is amazing, because he's totally insane. And yet he called me. You know, I could feel the Mediterranean sun on my back. I was just like, oh my God, I've got to do this deck. And I was really depressed. I was still depressed. So I started painting, and he was brilliant. He came out, and then I did the magician, and he was also brilliant. So I thought, well, okay, I'll paint the majors. Painted the majors. They worked. Although I had to do, I think, the Empress and the World and the Devil about 3 or 4 times. God, I struggled with the Empress. So then I had, in 78, I had a full tarot deck. No, I didn't. 78, what the hell was 78? Well, in 1981, I had a full tarot deck, and we went to New York, and I tried to vlog them to Stuart Kaplan, who wanted to put fig leaves on all the men. And he wanted me to give him the deck, and I would have what's the royalties of 0.5%. So I thought about this, and I thought, this is a shit deal, you know. This is not a good deal for Cilla. So I said no, and I sat on them for 33 years. I was doing all sorts of, you know, self-development. Oh, I'm still a very angry person. Anyone who knows you will tell you that. No, anyone that knows me will tell you that.
They might say
I was
that
angry. I still am angry. Sorry.
They might say that about me sometimes too. So.
Well, I think it kept me alive, so I'm not knocking it. But I did all these self-development courses, and I turned into a sort of a nice person. But I think it was 1980. Oh God, I don't know. One of those years, you know.
Yeah.
I did a workshop with this guy in Wales, an art workshop, and he just got me working. I was saying, oh, you know, I can only paint something this big. And he said, well, that's all right. You cut it out and you frame that. I thought, God, yeah. So 6 months later, I was doing a 5-foot painting, you know, as one does. And that is, oh, look, I've got it on my desk. Look. Can you see?
Yes, I can see that, but that's not from any of these decks. So that's just
no, this is not in a deck.
No.
This is a 5-foot painting. And I was like, oh my God, these are incredible beings, because they seemed, someone said that it seemed to be that they weren't quite parallel with our world. And that's what I felt about them. I felt that they were like spirits of planets. And I carried on painting from that place, which I called the other world, for about, I don't know, it felt ages. But about in 1994, the energy just died out. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Because, you know, this is what had kept me going. So I then took a BA in fine art, finally took a BA in fine art in London, and studied video art for 4 years, and got my degree, to my amazement. I think the tutors were pretty amazed too. And immediately after I'd done it, I thought, I can now go off and do teaching, you know. I'd never had the qualifications before. So I got a part-time lecturing job in a local college. And at the same time, I went to a Druid weekend and met this guy, Philip Cargom, who was doing his own tarot at the time. So in Fear and Trembling, I showed him my tarot, which is all sitting, you know, photocopies. And he thought, no, they're good. They are good. And he said, if you want to publish them, get in touch. I'll give you a draft proposal. So I did that. And over Christmas 2003, I wrote this proposal. But at the same time, about a month before, oh God, this is such a story. Sorry. Tell me if you want me to stop.
No, I love hearing about this. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, look, what happened? I got this part-time lecturing thing, but at the same time, I left my 9-to-5 job. Finally got the courage to leave it. So there I was. How am I going to make a living? I had no idea. And I went to this talk on angels. Now, I don't do angels. Well, at least I don't know. I think if I met one over there, I'd be like, but I don't do the squishy angels that, you used to get in card decks.
Me neither.
So I went to this talk on angels, and the guy was really sweet. He had gone to a couple of courses with Doreen Virtue, and she turned his life around completely. He had been a guy, he'd worked on London Transport, but then he decided he would be an angel counselor. So he's doing this talk on angels. And I went up to him at the end and I said, I loved your talk, but my God, I can't stand the cards. So someone should paint a deck of angels as they really are. If you met one, it would knock your socks off. I said, maybe I should paint one. Because at that stage I had my tarot, but I hadn't done anything much with it. And he said, well, why don't you go for it? So the next morning I actually started painting first deck of Devas. And I didn't know they were going to be Devas. I thought I'll just see what happens. And oh, look, good God, the Devas have been kind to me. This is what I painted.
So that was the first one.
That was the first one. And I looked at it and I said, actually, that's not an angel. That's a Deva. That's a Deva, the sun,
Yeah.
And maybe I'll paint a deck of Devas. So that's what I did. I just painted. I didn't think about it. I would say it's not one of my problems. It's one of my talents that I don't plan things. I just do them. And if they work, they work. And if they don't work, they don't work. But the Devas definitely worked. And so on one hand, I finally had the tarot, which had been accepted after my proposal, On one hand, I had the tarot, and on the other hand, I had the Devas coming up. So I figured that as I was going to be a published author, I might as well try and be a tarot reader. So the first reading I did for this woman, and she said, well, I don't know what it is that you do, but it's not tarot. So I was like, oh.
What deck did you use the intuitive tarot when you did that? Yeah,
of course. But I don't know what she was expecting, but I had readings with other tarot readers later, and they said, of course, you're reading tarot, for God's sake. So I was fine. I just do very psychological readings,
Yeah.
And I think she wanted me to tell her that she was going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger or something, and I don't do that. Yeah, so that was me, sort of sorted. I got a job at Watkins bookshop in London, which is, if you can ever get to London, it is.
Have you been? I've been there last year, right before the COVID started. We got to go to London, and I went to Watkins and I got a few decks, but it was so big with the books, and you just couldn't know what to choose. It is a magical place, and I got my first and so far only real tarot reading from another person face to face at Watkins.
What day was it?
I don't know, but the reader was Damien. Is it?
He's an astrologer.
Yes, he used my chart while he was doing. He actually, it was an interesting technique because he didn't talk so much about the card. He did a Celtic cross for me, and I don't I don't remember any of the cards because I didn't take a photo, and I was nervous and I was excited. I remember what we talked about, but he never really went through the spread like in a really detailed way. But
He's
he
not
has
really a reader, I don't think. I'm surprised he used cards.
yeah, but I think he mostly used something else than the cards. That's how it felt. But it was an exciting experience for me because I had to do this in English, and then there's the curtain,
Yeah.
the really shimmering veil in front of
Yeah.
the people, and then you're there. But it was amazing.
I read in that little cubbyhole. I'm surprised I never lost anyone falling down the stairs, because those stairs are bloody lethal.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was amazing. That was the only one thing that, because we only had one weekend to spend in London, so we couldn't do much. But that was my main thing while I was there.
Mm. It's a great place. I love London. I hate the traffic. I mean, it would drive me to gobbling rage. I would be having a deadline somewhere over there, and I couldn't get to it because the M4 was blocked off. So I don't miss that.
Yeah, I believe that and now you live in the beautiful Italy, the northern parts.
And if you have a traffic jam, it's usually because they've got a traffic light further down the road and everybody's held up, but there aren't traffic jams apart
No,
from that. It's great.
no. How long have you been there now in Italy?
I came in November 16, so it's my fifth year in November. Good God, yes.
Huh.
Still
How's
don't
your
speak Italian.
you don't
Sorry.
you don't speak Italian? No.
I can do the basics, but I don't understand it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And they jabber away, and I'm like,
You can always smile.
I do, but it doesn't work when we're having technicalities. And, is my gas? Well, I don't have gas yet. Is my boiler working? What do I need to do to get it? I don't do that.
Yeah, but from your story, because you have the short version of your story with the tarot in this book, but again with the Shimmering Veil tarot, you just jump with a different angle. We start talking about quantum physics and different things. So I love that you had the introduction of your story with the tarot and how long ago it was when you saw it on the black and white screen TV. And I'm born in 1982, so I was 1 year old when
You're a
your deck was.
baby.
Yes, yes. I know, but I think it's amazing how many decades it kind of took you to work with the intuitive, and now what has happened, because you're just creating like a maniac. You have these two are now available at your shop when it comes to tarot, and then are both of the divas already on the market?
The first Deva is definitely out, and we still got plenty of decks because I had to order 2,000 at the time. But the new one, the multi-dimensional, that's hopefully going to be available at the end of this month, April, because the printer informs me that they hope to box it and send it up, air freight it on Friday this week. I doubt that'll happen, but it still means 2-3 weeks. And then end of April, we'll have it, which is going to be fantastic.
And so both of those, if people don't know, are oracle decks with these angelic type of light beings. I don't know better way to put it out.
Yeah.
I don't have those decks yet, but I'm gonna eventually. And I'm really interested seeing, because I am really organized and strict person who loves kind of the structure of the tarot. And I only have like 2 oracle decks, and those are the ones with texts like euphemisms or sentences, and I never use them. So
No, you have to cut them off. They're horrible.
yeah, so I'm really interested to see, because I never expected to be able to really fall in love with the Shimmering Veil, because kind of it looked so artistic, and so, because I'm simple-minded girl, but the
Oh,
moment
come
I
on.
but the moment I opened the deck, it opened something in me that has stayed
Wow.
open, and I have used the deck daily since I got it. And now, if I would have to only have two decks in my life, one would be the Toth and one would be the Shimmering Veil. And it means so much to me. So that's why I have hope that I can probably work with the Devas, because there's something in
Yeah.
your art. I don't know what it is, because I can't even draw a cat, even if I try to. My daughter is really artistic. She's 13 and she's really good, super good. Not from me, from somebody else, I don't know. But when you paint, they are living beings. They are not just pictures. Even when you print them on a card, they live. And I don't know what's the thing, because
That's
not all
great.
my tarot
Fantastic.
decks are living, but your cards, they live. And I think that is the main point about the Shimmering Veil to me, that it just is like a movie.
Great. That's fantastic. I mean, I believe they are. I believe that all the tarot beings and the devas live in this parallel world, the other dimensions, and they are real. They're much realer than we are. So maybe a little bit of that comes through, because the devas must have let me in. The tarot let me in. The tarot pulled me in. The devas let me in, and I just love them. I still find that if I do a reading, I will do a reading with the devas or the multidimensional. It doesn't really matter. Both of them are hard hitting, but they speak, And if you go into the land, you start walking on the land, they will really call you. They'll listen and they'll call you.
So what is the thing with the both Deva decks? Can you mix them, or should you be keeping them separately?
You can mix them. It's just that you get this absolutely ginormous deck.
That looks meaty.
But I tend to read what I'm doing now when I do readings, and I don't do that many now. I read with the multidimensional, the devas, and one of the tarot. Usually the intuitive, because I'm so lazy, I can't be asked to think about anything else.
So I guess you've used the intuitive in your readings for decades then. So you had a deck for yourself even before it was published. So you had a physical deck.
Yeah, I take at that stage I took. Oh, I must tell you a story about that. I took photocopies, and at that stage it was like 1984 or something, really early. So I took my pictures to the local color Xerox place, and we were photocopying them, and it was all going really well. And then he put the death card down with the other cards, and he said, what about, is this going to stop the machine? And I said, nah, no, death card is good card. And the machine just stopped. I was like, oops. Maybe he doesn't like machines.
I'm a Scorpio, so I highly appreciate that story. And by the way, I really love the death card, because I'm a narcissistic person, as any of us. And when I can see an image like this in a death card, is like totally.
I'm also Scorpio, by the way.
Are you? So
I was always told that I was double, but I'm not. Anyway. Sorry.
So did this death card have a special meaning to you when you painted it? Because it was the card of Scorpio, or was it just as card as any of the other?
It meant rebirth to me. It didn't mean death. I mean, obviously, I've been thinking about this for a hell of a long time before I even realized that I was working with the idea of afterlife. But yeah, I don't believe that there is nothing after death. But I certainly don't think that we go off to this fluffy heaven with a little male god. Don't start me on that.
I think that I can get what you're thinking. That must be a Scorpio thing, because I have the same feelings. It can't be like unplugging a computer and the battery is dead, but I sure don't want to be up in heaven. That looks so boring also.
But my Book of the Dead is really interesting because when I was finishing off the multidimensional devas, I paint in oils. So I had about 50 paintings, all in different stages of drying on the floor of the studio, and I'd finished the multidimensional, and I thought, well, what am I going to do with all these paintings? Maybe there's a theme. So I looked through, and there was a sort of ghost horse and some very etiolated figures, which I might be able to find.
So the Book of the Dead, it is a tarot deck that you are currently creating. Oracle deck. Oracle. Yeah. Okay.
Here we are. Etiolated figures. How about that? Oops. You see it?
Yeah.
The original painting is just a bit wider, but I had to scrunch it. So I looked at that, and I think there was a demon, and I thought, how about a Book of the Dead? And it sort of twig went ding, and I've just screwed up the order. Damn it. So I just started on that, and not obviously, I was brought up with quite a religious mother, and I can remember at about the age of 5 having this book, Victorian book about heaven. And I was wandering through all these beautiful flowers and a fountain. And of course, I'd lost my sister, and wishing I could be a better girl. I was going to be a better girl, you know. I really wanted to be in this lovely garden. And then my mother said something, and I went, and that was me done, you know. Don't want to go to heaven. But I've got these ideas. I believe that we remember a hell of a lot, you know. And the ideas of this world, when we think justice isn't justice, schooling, what the hell are we bothered with? This bloody stupid schooling is useless. All those ideas that the system isn't working, and why do we have a system like this anyway? All that comes from the possibility of it being a hell of a lot better. So that's what's in the Book of the Dead.
So that's going to be an oracle deck of how many cards? Do you know yet?
48.
48.
Yeah.
And is that anyway inspired from Egypt, or is it just the name that brings me to Egypt?
Well, you have a Tibetan Book of the Dead as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
No, nothing about Egypt. I mean, I don't know very much about Egypt. I've got a few Egyptian. Well, if you could see it, you'd see the Sphinx on my big computer screen over there.
Because this card, I'm really fascinated with Egypt, but for some reason, the High Priestess, well, she gives me a lot of things, but with the Ankh and the moons there, and there's something really Egyptian, and also, well, I've been studying about Alexandrian witchcraft lately, so that might be also affecting my thoughts. But there are some Egyptian vibes that I'm picking up, but it could be just me.
Well, I like myth a lot, and I wouldn't say I've studied it, but I know quite a bit. And obviously, I haven't ignored Egypt. I wish I could turn this laptop around, but if I do, everything will go up to hell, so I won't. Yeah, there are Egyptian. I mean, hold on. I have an idea somewhere
Yes.
in here. Is my death card. Oh no, look. Ignore the middle picture. Ignore the middle figure because he won't be there. He's changed. But on
Okay.
this side, you can see the Sphinx.
I can see. Can you take it a bit further from the camera?
Sorry.
Yes, now I can see it. So there's a Sphinx looking face. And is it like a tombstone on the other side?
Yeah, now that's a really fascinating place. Hold on, I'll keep on. That is, no, I can't remember its name. It's in Turkey. It's 12,000 years old and it's a temple.
Yeah, it's the Göbekli Tepe.
That's it. Yeah. So that's in there, and you've got the Easter Island people on this side because it's about old religions.
Amazing.
But what I've been working on, I did this hymn yesterday, and then this morning I woke up and thought, no. He is the head of the Baha'i religion, but he's alive. So what's the point of having him in here? He's supposed to be dead.
So he gets to be changed.
He's now Chanonos or Kenonos.
Ah, amazing.
And I had this beautiful photo of a forest, really old forest. So I shoved that into my screen and thought, there's a little person in there. So he's been enlarged and made into a really quite scary Kenonos. Okay, sorry, let me just show you this and then I'll take it away again. You can see an Anubis.
Anubis, yes. And a skeleton with a sight, yes.
And this is Hades. It's a bit of a mixed bag. God knows what the hell the deck is going to be like when I finish it. It'll probably.
But that looks straight up to in my alley because I have a Thoth here. You can see it. I have a Thoth here, but he's in the middle of a column with these pillars that have Anubis in it. I was in Egypt when I was 7, and I've been hooked since. So I love the Egyptian.
It's a powerful place, isn't it?
But while you were talking about Cernunnos, I want to ask you about the King of Fire in the Shimmering Bell. Is he Cernunnos? Or is it just me picking that up?
No, I don't think he is. I'll tell you another little story about him. I went on this workshop in France. Oh God, it's another long story. It was a writing workshop, and we went to this place down in the south of France, which is all in Cathar country. And I could almost see the Cathars walking across the land. You know, it's like, I don't have real experience of any sort of past life, but I could feel the Cathars. And we had to do this writing exercise, and I decided I would go for a walk up the mountain, a nearby mountain. And I don't remember, it must have been a kind of meditation I did. I got this impression of this shamanistic figure up at the top. And I came down and I painted this picture that the facilitator absolutely hated. She said it was black on black. And I don't have him on my wall here, but he's still around. He's a painting, and I used him for the King of Staves King of Batons, because I love him. So Cernunnos is the sort of basis of all my horned gods.
Yeah.
But he wasn't intended to be.
But it still is. That's, I guess, how creative things work. And while we are talking about creativity, I want to talk about one of my absolute favorite cards in the Shimmering Veil. And I find it so surprising because to me, this is really pretty, really girly, like really pretty colors, and I wear black. So, but for some reason, this card, it struck me. And I wanted to hear what are your what was going in your head when this came out? How do you
I
see
think it
it?
was, I think it was an accident. You know, I do tend to paint all over the place. And I can remember thinking that is a very nice image. I'll keep it. And I was looking for creativity, so I used it. But the figure in it is me
So that's you
painting.
painting. Because for me, when I first saw that card was because I'm not really creative person. I like to doodle on things, but they turn out quite ugly. But it's fun to do things. But I think that that's what creating looks to me. I don't know, it's inspiring and I love that it's you in there. It gives a whole nother aspect also to that card, but it's absolutely one of my favorites in the Shimmering Veil.
I have a real thing about creativity. If it hadn't been for my paintings, I don't think I would have come out the other side. I know I said that I'm still really angry. That's mostly, you know, society making
That
me into
does
a
it.
second-class citizen. But those paintings, especially Night Dancers, really showed me what I was inside. And they brought me to myself. I think that everybody should carry on doing some sort of creative. It doesn't matter what it is, you know, gardening, cooking, drawing, even if it's ugly. I mean, a lot of my stuff is rubbish. I use it for the backgrounds and the cards.
And I guess that are you really um, do you have a high self-critique, or are you really demanding or perfectionist towards your work?
Am I perfectionist? I don't know. I'm really demanding and I'm very, very self-critical. But actually, that's really good because I have a great friend in America who's another artist. And she said that she's never worked with anybody who is as critical as I am. But like yesterday, you know, I did this picture. It was okay with the Baha'i guy. It was okay, but it wasn't good enough. It's got to press my buttons somehow. And if it doesn't, I'll change it.
And
So
I guess that's kind of behind why your tarot cards are so alive, because maybe you force them to be ready before you put them into a deck.
they have to be right. Yeah, I won't send something out that I think is second rate. I did have to, I hope she's not watching this. I did a little sculpture for someone the other day, and I hated it. I really hated it. It was horrible. It didn't work. I would have just smashed it up and started again. But because it was like for her birthday 2 months ago, I thought I better bite the bullet and give it to her. And the next day she sent me a picture, well, she put on Facebook a picture of a nice little Madonna. It was a black Madonna. She sent me a picture of a nice little white Madonna on Facebook. And I thought, it's a bit pointed, isn't it? She likes it as much as I do.
Yeah, well, for some other people, they might be, you know, people have different tastes. But now when it comes to your tarot decks, you have two completed decks. And when you read, do you still read for other people, or no, or is it just for yourself?
Not really, no. If someone actually writes to me and says, please, will you do me a reading, I'll do it. But it screws my day up, you know. It's at least an hour putting the cards out, worrying about them, an hour to do. And if they ask for a half an hour reading, they always push it. So
Yeah.
it's an hour's reading, and then I can go back to work. But actually, my work now is just painting. Even if it's on screen, that's what I'm doing, and that's what I really enjoy doing. So
Yeah. But when you read for yourself, you mostly use the devas, but if you use a tarot deck, which one do you use? The Shimmering Veil or the Intuitive?
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Shouldn't
So
tell you that, should I?
no,
It's
but I
the Shimmering Veil is more difficult for me to think about, you see. You see?
for me, yeah, it's the other way around. The Shimmering Veil is my number one, but I really love the intuitive also, and it's gotta be because when I think about it being in your life for over 30 years before it becoming available to the rest of the people, so you gotta just know every image by your heart, and I can't even imagine about creating a tarot deck. It's even the thought is exhausting. But what about your favorite card in the intuitive? Do you have a favorite?
High Priestess and the Fool.
I love the High Priestess also, and I love the Fool. I have them both separated here, so that means much. But I wanted also to talk about this. No, not the penis. I love the penis. It's really self-explanatory, but the little things behind. How big is this painting for real?
Not big.
How did
It's
you
only a
put,
little bit bigger.
how did you put all the little things behind? All the
I had better eyesight at that stage.
and am I seeing right that there's a tank and then there's probably somebody walking in space and a spaceship or do so I see correctly?
Yeah. The tank is Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
So I think I must have revised that card before it went out. No, that's 1990 something. How the hell did I get Tiananmen Square in there? Yeah, I must have revised the card.
Yeah. And what are those people doing on the bottom right corner? There are a lot of people in a row or queue.
That's hospitals.
Hospitals. Okay.
There are a few things that men are very useful for in there, and hospitals is one of them.
So I see it's a whole row is the same thing. So the people on the other side are also, they are working on the hospital here. So it's like, and because on the second row, it's the whole space thing.
The hospital is on the left hand. It's on this side. The other side is slaves. Sorry, I'm telling a lie.
Okay. Cool, but I love how many details and I don't understand how you can put it in a small painting. It just, do you paint with this microscope or do you
Well, you haven't
that?
seen the Byzantine tarot, have you? I did work with a magnifying glass for that all the way, because the original cards are about this size. And
what deck is that? It's your deck too.
Byzantine. I don't think. Oh, I put them both away.
But
it's not really one of my decks because John Matthews wrote the book. But it's a pretty deck.
But it's out to buy on the market. Oh, but it wasn't on your site. So it
is now.
Oh, okay.
Because I got 100 copies to sell, and I thought they would last for about 5 years, and they're going like, I don't know why people are ordering them, but I suppose they're looking at the MDD, the multidimensional, and thinking, oh, I'll just order another deck. Oh, I've seen the Byzantine, it's nice.
So that's the third tarot deck of yours. Yes. Yeah. And now you are creating the Book of the Dead Oracle. And what else? Is there something?
I've done that one.
You've done that one. So are you doing something now?
This is this one.
That's that one. So is that a tarot or an oracle?
Yeah, this is a tarot.
And what's the name of that? Does it have a name already?
The Old Gods Tarot.
The Old Gods Tarot.
Yeah.
And that's the one.
I think it's going to be a bit of a mishmash, but hey.
But that's going to be an interesting deck. Is the cards going to stay in that shape? It's going to make amazing spreads.
That's why I did it like that. it's hell on wheels to get the artwork right. And I don't know what the printers are going to do. That probably goes fair. But yeah, it does actually work if you put them in. Oh, I'll show you this one. I like this one. This is the Queen, Goddess of Knives.
It's beautiful.
So let's see. I'll put her with the moon. She goes well with the moon. If you put them together, they work like that.
Yes.
Sort of. If I could take my fingers away.
'Cause
it's going to shock quite a few. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I don't like the round tarot decks. I don't know what to do with the round shape, but I love the idea of that shape, kind of putting it all together, because I like the structure.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it into a proper hexagon like the bees make, but I couldn't.
That's close enough.
Yeah, hope.
So when do you think that's gonna be? No idea.
No, the minors take less time, but the majors are a pain, because typically, Cilla, I'm making it difficult for myself by having at least 3 gods in each card. So so we've got Hecate here.
Yeah.
We've got some sort of Aztec, or not Aztec, I don't use, Mayan goddess here.
Yeah.
We've got the moon, Selene here, and then we've got some sort of horrible creature coming out of the sea.
I love the triple moon on the top there. So did you ever, because at the time when you were getting involved with tarot, there weren't as many decks that it is nowadays.
No.
But did you ever end up using any other deck than your own?
Yeah, I use the Aquarian mostly. There's a great book by some guy, Richard Rogers, something like that, called The Tarot and You. Oh, you got it. And that book taught me how to read with the Aquarian.
Yeah, I love getting vintage decks, and this was one of my favorite vintage. It smells like old grandma's house.
Well, it's got a different back to mine.
Yeah, this is the same that they are using nowadays, the blue fishy one. This is not one of the oldest, because they have done several of these, but that was your favorite of the time.
Yes, I hated the Swiss IJJ. I couldn't work with the Toth, although my ex-husband liked it, so we bought one, and I've got one. I've got the same one as you've got. I can't work with the Rider-Waite Smith. It's bloody hard work for me. I just can't.
It never stuck on me as well. I started with the Rider-Waite Smith, but ended up in Toth, and then stumbled on the Shimmering Veil, and that changed my whole world view. But I think nowadays we do have, so much variety. If we want unicorns or Vikings, or so that's why I'm trying to distill. I like to have some classics, but I'm mostly using 1 or 2 decks at the end of the day, so it's quite pointless to have that many.
The collectors, I mean, they have 300 or 400 cards, decks. How the hell do they ever use any of them?
You should ask that when you have your session, probably with Simon, because I don't know anybody who has as many decks as he does.
Yeah, that's true. He does seem to know his stuff though very well.
Yes,
I like that.
I love that too, and I love that somebody has that much, the variety. And he's been one of my inspirations on my path on what to get, and then what not to get at the end, to share that knowledge and everything. But then I would want to ask about the borders in the intuitive. And first, when I did my comparison walkthrough of the decks up in Lapland, and I hadn't read the book because that's the way I wanted to go with your decks. I want to see what they say to me first before I hear what you have to say about them.
Good thought.
But I understood the colorings that you have changed the associations of the swords and the batons to the fire and air. So you mix that there.
Yeah. I did that right from the word go. I mean, the frames came from the word go. I drew the fool, and he came with that frame, which I liked. I mean, I just got into the idea that women weren't the second-rate citizens that I've been brought up to think. So the frame was like the feminine. And I could deal with the cups being water and blue. I liked that. And the discs were obviously earth. But I couldn't, I really like staves or batons or wands. I never call them wands, but hey. And I wanted them to be green. And I said, okay, can't have green fire. Sorry. All right, let's make them air. So I did. And I knew it would be a bit difficult, but then the cards were for me, so it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
It actually works very well. The face cards brilliantly like that. And it turns out that the earlier tarot mixed and matched as well. They didn't have, Rider-Waite-Smith has sort of fixed them in stone. So now you can't even do anything with it.
But then when you did the Shimmering Veil, you went with the elemental kind of. I love how the cards are marked. I love that the symbols are the shape of a flame there and the number. I love it. But then you changed the fire to the suit of wands or batons and the air too. Is it tricky for you to read with the Shimmering Veil because of that, or do you change between the decks?
I think it's just that I'm so used to the intuitive, and because I'm, as I say, a lazy reader, that is so much easier for me to just get the IT out without having to think.
Yeah.
I think if I read for myself with a tarot, I will get the Shimmering Veil out because it's a nice deck.
But then you told that your favorites in the intuitive were the High Priestess and the Fool. But what about, did you have anyone who you struggled a lot with in the intuitive? What was the hardest, or were there any hard cards?
Can't read the Empress. Well, at least I couldn't paint the Empress because I had real trouble with my mother. Yeah. Funnily enough, she worked really well, and I struggled with the Empress in the Shimmering Veil because I painted the baby too small. And my friend in Florida kept on saying, you've got to make it bigger. I was like, it's a newborn baby, why should it be big? But no, she was right.
But I love the fact that these are actually two cards that are quite similar to me, at least in the deck. They are.
Yeah.
There are a lot of similarities, even though the art style is completely different. But then there are these cards that are like the Empresses. They are really similar. And then these ones.
Oh, yes. Well, they're my cards. So of course, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel if it works.
But I love that you can do the same. And the thing is, in this image, that it just speaks to you, even though you don't know what the card means, both of them. And I love that you have kept some of the kind of core ideas, like in these two.
Yeah.
And I love how you see, I don't think I've ever seen the two of batons or wands or whatever being depicted on a stage like these two are. It's totally different. And when I realized that, it gave me a whole new insight of the two of wands or batons or fire.
I don't think the RWS2 of batons works two of wands. It just doesn't. And the 5 and 7 have always confused me as well, because they're exactly the same. And it's like, what is the point of having two cards so similar?
So where did you get the idea of putting these people in the twos on a kind of a stage with the curtains? Because
I
I've
think
never
it happened
seen
by
that.
accident. You know, I designed them teeny weeny in the IT when I was designing a tiny little thumbnail, and then I would blow them up. And I can remember thinking, oh, he's on a stage and he's talking to lots of people, but it was just what happened, you know, serendipity.
Those are the good ones. And then
Yeah.
one more comparison that I wanted to ask about you is the lovers, because both these have sort of a darkness. Even the one in Shimmering Veil, even though you have the big red heart there, but there is darkness. And here in the intuitive, you can clearly see the darkness. So what are your thoughts on the lovers?
The lovers is interesting. I did a drawing when I first came over from South Africa, to Zimbabwe, to here. I was traveling with someone and I drew that. And I thought, it looks interesting because it looks like my boyfriend at the time. And when I was doing the intuitive, I put him in. I put the whole lot in. And I remember thinking, even at the time when I drew it, it's sort of like these people are pulling apart from each other. I mean, I had a good marriage, just I'm not a marriage person, really.
I have divorced twice, so I know.
Twice? Oh, you beat me.
Yeah.
I think it's better to have serial men, you know, you can get rid of the old ones and bring
Yeah,
in
yeah. but I love the darkness in these ones. It's again really different.
I'll tell you about the Shimmering Veil, though. God, I struggled with that card. I had these two little icky male and female. Oh God, they were so boring. And so I got rid of them completely and just had this red heart. And one of my friends here said, oh God, you could sell that. It's wonderful to sell that. And I was like, yeah. So the next day I actually went, and those two figures came out. And I love the fact that the woman is like, have you cleaned the car yet? Why haven't you done this? And the guy's like, oh. So they stay.
Because what I see like human faces, but I see bird wings. I don't know if I'm seeing correctly.
Oh, interesting.
I see that they are like bird-shaped people, and the red ones are their wings, and they are holding around the tree. And both of them have like pointy noses. And there's something really bird-like that I see in here. I don't know why, but that's what I see.
They're quite predatory, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's me, part of me anyway.
And then one interesting card that I wanted to talk, if I can find it. I know I heard, because I've seen all the interviews of you, I think you've done with Kasha and Tarot Map and others, but about the Devil card. So I know your thoughts about the Shimmering Veil Devil, but I love to hear about this.
He's
devil.
Amazing, isn't he? Or she?
Yeah, because I don't know. I see a she. I see a
People
she
see
devil
both.
there.
No,
yeah.
It is both. And it's very interesting what someone will see, male or female. I think it is probably quite the most powerful image I've ever painted. I will really struggle to match anything. I can't do the devil at the moment. I don't know what the hell to do with him and the old gods, but I love him, her, it.
It's amazing, because I used to be a bodybuilder, so maybe that's why it's easier for me to see a total she there, because I don't mind women being muscular. But is that a monster?
She's got more she than She's got more she things than male things, haven't she?
Yeah, because I'm wondering, it looks like there's a little monster in her hoo-ha. I don't know what's happening between her legs,
Oh
but to
God,
me,
yes, there is. I've never seen
it's
that.
like coming to eat you.
Well, that's what guys see in us.
I love that. That's powerful. But then when you were talking about this devil, you were really young when you did this one.
Yeah, 18 I was. I was scared shitless of that painting. In fact, I think it's out now. I think it's actually out on my attic wall, but it was on the floor face downwards for something like 40 years because I was really scared of it.
Were the two people in the painting already, or was it just the face of the devil?
Just the face.
It's so interesting that you create something, but it still terrifies you. But it still is. It's coming out of you. It's amazing.
Well, that's what scared me.
Yeah, I think, but they are both so strong images. And then one of my absolute favorite cards in the intuitive is the Four of Batons. And I would love to hear about this because I love this. I've never seen more beautiful image anywhere than this one.
Well, I will tell you something that'll probably change your attitude towards it. It used to be the 3.
Okay.
And it was much bigger. You know, the figure going up to the cottage was much bigger. And then I thought, no, the 3 doesn't work for that particular card. It needs to be the 4. So I put it in the bubble. And it works. It works fine. Just I wish I could have left it as the 3.
Because for me, I've been trying to find a cottage like in the Finnish countryside for a few years now, and now I'm really close. I should be getting keys to my rental cottage in the beginning of May. And to me, this image is the hope of finding that my own hiding place where, you know, I can be in the bubble where kind of time, because I see the hourglass here, and where time stands still, and there's just my bubble, and this is what, you know, depicts my biggest wish at the moment. So maybe that's why I see this image so
it is a dream card. I think it's got much richer for me putting it in the bubble.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good idea.
So let's see if my dream really comes to reality.
Yeah.
But then one
Hold
card
on.
from...
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. Let's see. These are now in order. So God knows what we'll get. But this one wants to come. This is the multi-dimensional. Authenticity.
Okay.
So the cottage will enable you to be completely authentic. Dark and light, probably. I mean, I don't know. What does it say to you?
I need to see that card in real life. I only see the fire and the, like, she's becoming what she's meant to be, kind of that.
Exactly.
That's what I see there. Yeah.
Someone else saw it and said, oh, it's, what's that guy in America who paints Marilyn Monroe? Gosh, what's his name? Can't remember. Anyway, he's a pop artist, and she saw him, and apparently she lives in Pittsburgh and he lives in Pittsburgh, so that's why she saw Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
Authenticity is Andy Warhol.
Yeah, but I guess that's the whole idea behind the cottage, to get that, so I can have a place to escape, because I have my daughter, and then my husband, he has 3 kids, and I need a place where it's
No,
just
I
for
get
me.
that totally.
Yes. And for my weird things, and where I can be totally me.
Well, you were saying I've been just creating since I got here. This is because I don't have to work and I have a house that I absolutely adore and 2 mountains over there, which I absolutely adore. So I don't know, I'm lucky.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you deserve it, and maybe one day, my dreams come true. Also, I also always said that when I die, I want to die as an old Italian grandma in, one of those black dresses with a little bit of mustache and those black ugly shoes on, and I can eat so much pasta and wine that I'll just burst as an old Italian grandma. And that would be, a great way to go for me. I love Italy. It's one of those. I love ancient Egypt, but I love Italy, and so
I haven't seen enough of it yet. I've been holed up in my little eyrie here since I got here. And I've been chatting with a good friend. He's got a truck and he's been holed up in Britain because he can't get out.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, if you can get to Bilbao, I'll join you in Bilbao and we'll travel around Spain. I didn't actually, I have to double check what his reaction was. It was probably like,
Yeah. Well, let's hope that world opens up to all
let's
of
hope.
us at some.
Yeah.
But then few more cards that I still want to ask about. This is puzzling me the most. This
I'm
is
not surprised, actually.
this is the Seven of Swords, or air, and what I see a ghost lady up in Lapland, but she's in front. Well, even though there's a chimney, but it looks a lot like a Finnish outhouse. So the outside toilet in the middle of the night,
Oops.
and there's the eagle or something. But to me, this is one of the most scariest card in the Shimmering Veil. So I want to hear your thoughts on this card.
You're asking me all my secrets. That was a drawing. That was just a drawing, which I really liked. And I kept it and I wanted to use it. And when I was doing the Shimmering Veil, I thought that would work for the 7. It's very, what's the word I want? It's not clear. It's not a clear card. But for me, she's a kind of a shaman. The little house is a shamanistic place where you go and get smoked,
Yeah.
Don't ask me what the eagle is. I think the eagle is about wisdom. And then she has a couple of baskets as well, and don't ask me what they are. So the question is, I have no idea what it means.
But I think that there is this great, because the Seven of Swords is about nothing kind of is what it looks like, the deception there, and there's something really ghost-like in her. But I get really cold when I look at the image, and I'm a Finn, so I don't get cold easily. But I think this is a really powerful image, like in the night when you have all these nightmares and you don't know what's real and what's not, and those twilight moments.
I can't remember it coming up for anybody, which is not really surprising because it's one of those cards that only comes up when it really needs to. But yeah, I haven't done a reading with the Shimmering Veil for ages.
And now
Someone
when
was
you're
threatening to have a. Sorry.
but now when you're saying that, I have never, I don't think I've ever gotten Seven of Swords in a reading. Now that you say that, of
Maybe
course
it
I know
shouldn't
the
be in.
of course I know the card, but I don't remember a reading when I have seen it in a reading.
It would be a very difficult card to read, wouldn't it?
It
You'd probably
could,
have to be.
but in the situation should be fitting to that. So I don't know.
Mm,
I will let you know whenever I get it for the first time and what was the
yeah,
question and
do.
what it's telling me.
Yes.
And then after that, one of my favorites also in the Shimmering Veil is the Hanged
Yes.
Man.
I used to
Uh,
have him hanging behind me. He's massive, like 6 foot. And then I decided he was a bit dark to be behind me, so I got the High Priestess instead. But I did, you see, a lot of my paintings are paintings that have been put into the deck, which is one of the reasons it was actually quite easy to produce. I did this, I was working with a friend on hermetics, and she came around one day and she said, "Oh, that's Shamyaza." So I was like, "Really? Okay, fine." So it's called Shemyaza. He's the leader of the rebel angels. Oh, and he caused a breakup of a friend of mine because we were going to do some sort of ritual to bring back the rebel angels, and I was not that keen on the idea anyway. I think, you know, they're rebels. I would bring Shemyaza back because I think he's sad. He's not evil. But anyway, this friend wrote to me and said, I had this friend around and there was something really evil in my bedroom, and if you do this ritual, I will not be able to be friends with you. So I wrote back and I said, "Look, this is your bloody bedroom, not mine." So I was going to do the ritual and then I forgot about it and I went to South Africa instead. So
Whoopsie.
yeah.
Yeah. But I love this. And by the way, it takes amazing pictures. It works really well in pictures. When, you know, nowadays we take pictures too much of our tarot cards to Instagram and whatever. But it is a beautiful card.
I'm glad. He's
And
got a bit
and
mashed up. He's outside in the hall.
and for these times, you know, during COVID and everything, I think all of us
Exactly.
has felt his presence in the daily life.
Yeah,
What to do? We just hang here and wait.
exactly. And so many people can't do it. I
No.
think there's going to be lots of incidents of real serious mental disorders after we come out of this.
Yes, yes. Finland is the capital of suicides anyway, and I don't even want
Really?
to know what is. Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of, alcohol overuse, and it's a traditional way of Finnish men to deal with their emotions. So I'm horrified of
Hey
the
ho,
coming
men in
4 5 years.
general.
Yeah, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen? But then I have two more cards that I want to talk about. And this is one that thrilled me because the tower in the intuitive, because I don't
Mm,
know, we are a different generation, but I don't know if you have ever seen uh, the movies of Bruce Willis, the
mm.
Lethal Weapons. I don't know. This just screams to me John McClane in the Bruce Willis movies, but what was happening here? To me, I only see Bruce Willis jumping here in the building, but
Well,
that's
the
just because
original
I'm an
card,
80s kid.
I wish I could show it to you because I don't even know where the damn thing is. The original was a nuclear explosion with all these buildings like St. Paul's and Washington and things all just melting. And when the publisher said they wanted to publish it, they said that's not really going to work. It's a bit too dour. Can you change it? And that was just after the Twin Towers went down.
Yeah,
So it's not really an original idea at all, but I
yeah,
painted one of the Twin Towers.
yeah. Yeah. Well, all of us remember that day and when that was happening.
Good God, yes.
Yeah. I was baking a birthday cake because that's my father's birthday, and we had this really old small TV in the kitchen, and that started coming out, and so
Mm,
that cake never
yeah.
finished.
My God.
And then I was still
Yeah, I
one.
was
There
I
was
was at work. Sorry.
no, and one more card. Then I'm through
Yeah.
with all the cards that I've been wondering and I've been interested because first of all, you have changed quite a few things between these two decks.
Mm,
So the intuitive and the shimmering. The one is the switch of the justice and strength
mm.
cards there and other things. But when you say that you don't really enjoy the toss deck as the way I do, but did the inspiration for this come from this, or is it something else?
I did look at the Thoth a lot when I was painting the IT because it's just such a brilliantly painted deck.
Yeah,
But the idea of a woman and a lion is fairly standard over tarot, isn't it?
it
It's not
is.
going to be in
Yeah,
the old gods, but
yeah,
it wasn't a conscious thing to say, okay, I really love this.
yeah,
I think all the facets in the Thoth, they influenced me a lot. But I wouldn't say this strength card was particularly. But I'm thinking of making art temperance. In fact, I think the Thoth is influencing me more in this one, not the art, but the ideas.
yeah,
Apart from the miners, I think I'm going to do a sort of miners, Marseille miners.
yeah. So like real pips.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
means that
different.
nobody will buy it, but hey.
No, but no. I mean, I think that Marseille style is getting it's
Mm,
it's
it's
booming
coming
kind
back.
of. Yeah,
Yeah, it
I have issues mostly with the Marseille, the traditional Marseille. I don't mind the pips, but the art style in
the
the
art is, well, that was what made me feel so bloody ugly. Let me show you a
yeah.
pip if I can find a pip.
But I don't
um,
mind the pips. The pips work, but I don't like the art style.
I think it takes a certain way of thinking before you can read the pips. This is
Yeah,
my 3 of stones actually in this deck,
stones. Okay.
stones. And it's interesting that there's a dark figure here and
Yeah.
it's sort of a figure there, a ghost or whatever. So you can probably read this one, but I don't know how I'm going to do all the others. I'll just
Um,
paint them and see.
I'm interested to see. But for this card, because I know my channel has a silly name. My channel is called Fierce and Pretty. And the point because
Mm,
my channel is called that is because when I was younger, I wanted to have a clothing store. And I would want that clothing store to be called Fierce and Pretty. And it would be like selling pretty white clothes, like really girly, but then like leather jackets and leather boots. But I think that if my channel would be a tarot card, I think this is fierce and this is pretty. I think she's amazingly powerful. And because I love that, because in the Toth card, she has turned her face away because Lady Frida Harris, she didn't like painting faces, but she's showing her beautiful profile, and I love her hair. It's amazing. So she's
that card has affected men very powerfully. There was a dentist, my dentist, when I was working, and he said, "Oh, you got this card, and it's absolutely fantastic, and it's this, and it's this wonderful woman." And I was like, "Okay, show me this card." And he couldn't. He'd made it up from the strength card. It was his fantasy.
yeah, and because you know my husband is he's a Leo, and
Oh, right.
he really loved the Shimmering Veil, because this was the first time when he saw a masculine card for Leo, but I don't think he would mind this card either. I think both of them work for men pretty well, because she's not. I don't like when, because when we think of the Rider-Waite-Smith strength card, she doesn't look really strong when she's holding the line. She's like the pretty lady with the flower thingies, but I think she has the right attitude for strength. But maybe that's a Scorpio thing again.
But if you think about how big a lion would be, you know, I had a dream about a deer once, stag, and it was bloody enormous and it smelt. And I was like, yeah, this is what we don't take into account, you know.
Yes, I've never seen a real live lion, so I can say
I'm not sure I have either.
no, because I don't really like the zoos. I don't like animals being put into the cages. I think they should be in the wild.
But there is was a Scottish artist making animals, wild animals, out of wire. And he'd done this leopard that was this size. And I was like, yes, you know, it would be that size.
Yeah, they are huge. But then what about, because I asked also questions, my friend Saturnarium, who I ordered the Shimmering Veil from you to her all the way to Brazil. And by the way, the deck is still, it's still stuck in the Brazilian customs.
Oh, jeez.
It traveled there fast. And they also, because I have ordered a custom made pouch to my Shimmering Veil. That's gorgeous. Purple. Yeah, and it has my really name gorgeous. On it. And I ordered the same pouch for her, but one day she will get the deck also.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, but she also had questions, and one of her questions was from the Shimmering Veil, that because we've talked a lot more of the intuitive tarot, but what about in the Shimmering Veil? What was your favorite card in this one, and why?
Her, the High Priestess, definitely.
Oh, the High Priestess also in this one.
Yeah, the High Priestess, because that's the whole painting, you see.
Yeah, we only see her the bottom of her hands.
Yeah, that started her. Oh God, this is another.
She's here. I have her here.
Okay, great. Yeah, but that is. Hold on, let me see.
Yes, there she is.
The whole thing.
Oh my God, there's so much. What's the ball on the other side? The red looking ball.
That's one of the nebula, Orion Nebula.
Okay. And is there a tree on the other side, or what's happening there? Oh.
Yeah, there's a tree. Oh God. Oh, this is a touch screen, of course. Yeah, there's a sort of an old person there. A sort of sad old person and a tree, which should have been the tree of life, but actually is a little bit sad. I have one like that in the garden. And then another couple of,
what's on top of the tree, the two black looking thingies?
Space people.
Yeah, okay, they look people.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There used to be a man here on this side, that side, but I didn't like him, so I painted him out. This whole thing was done, it was begun just before I left England. It had the man, it had a woman, and she didn't work. I left the Orion Nebula, and I left the ghostly old lady. But I got fed up with it one evening, and it just went, and she came out. I was like, yes.
It's amazing to see her in total, because you know, we only see the middle part. So I love seeing the whole painting. Has it been hard when you put them into the cards to leave something out?
Not really, no. I mean, because I have this, I can just cut and paste it however much I like.
Yeah,
I'm
amazing
lucky.
yes, you truly are. Amazing to see that. So is there a why? Why is she your favorite?
Because I figure I am one.
That's good.
And
That's
anyway,
good.
it's a great painting.
It is. It is beautiful. Then one of her other questions was that what was the most difficult card in the Shimmering Veil and why?
Oh, I think it was the world, the universe, because I couldn't get it right. I kept on trying and trying and trying, and I finally got the nebula, and then I had to get the figure. It does work finally, but my God, it was a struggle.
It's beautiful. I love how she is the light and how it comes even while I'm showing it here. She is alive. There's just some sort of
Great.
magic in the paintings. I don't know how they are. And by the way, I love because I don't tend to like judgment cards. I don't like the trumpets and the thingies, but this I love.
Well, that's another card that's very similar to the IT, isn't it? If you look at the intuitive,
Yeah,
it's got another very non-religious judgment.
I love the fact that your decks are not really Christian, but also this judgment and the Three of Cups in the Shimmering Veil.
Mhm.
They are really, I have it here.
I'll tell you another story about that. They are similar, aren't they? I'd never actually noticed that. That was originally done as a wedding painting for a couple of friends, and there were two people in it.
Which one?
So the Three of Cups.
Yeah. So you added the third person.
And I really struggled with that one as well, thinking about it. I couldn't get the three people right. And they looked like there was a man and a woman, and one of them was left out, and it pissed me off.
Because I love this card, the Three of Cups. And the first moment when I saw this one, I was like, oh, that's that one. I love that how there are and one of my absolute favorites, I didn't pick it, but I'll try to dig it. The 10 of discs or earth here, they are in a way really similar. The whole concept of the evolution or what you would call that, the journey, it's not about so much about monetary happiness as the traditional ones, like coins falling from the heavens. But there is and I never know with this card, which way are we coming or going into the tunnel? It moves so fast that I never know.
Well, most people would say we're coming out of it. Always the progression upwards. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think the Greeks were so much more interesting than we are, and so much brighter.
So true, so true. Nowadays, people only talk about the newest Netflix series and how is the season 2 coming out, and to have discussions with those people. But here also we see the same idea,
exactly.
in a different way. And for me, the world of discs in intuitive is really machinery like. I see a lot of machine parts in it.
I agree.
It's not so much about money. None of the decks actually. There's not there's not, you know, even in this one, it's not about money. It's about all other things. It's love.
Tradition,
Yeah, it's
generations.
so
Yeah.
much deeper if we think about
Well,
the art
I'm not
style.
about money at all. I barely made well, after I gave up my 9-to-5 job, I actually spent about 6 months thinking that the bank was going to ring me up and say, okay, you're overdrawn, you're basically. And then what happened? Then I got my job at Watkins and my little part-time evening tutoring job. And I realized that I actually wasn't going to go bankrupt. I was going to be all right. But in Italy, now I'm selling the decks. I've actually got more money than I ever had. It's really quite surprising.
Well, good that you didn't take the deal from Stuart Kaplan back then.
Oh,
in the
thank
day.
God, yes. That would have been such a mistake.
Yeah.
It leaves on all the men. My God, what would I have done with the devil?
And as a buying customer, I have to say that the customer service level and the whole buying experience from your shop is beautiful. Well, the only bad thing nowadays is the Brexit, but
Oh,
that's
give
not
me.
your fault. But the fact that even when I ordered this deck from your store to ship all the way to Brazil, I didn't have to do anything, just send it there and it works perfectly. So I love how it works.
I'm glad. I mean, I would send them from here if I could, but the post in Italy is just very expensive and really not up to it. We'll have to see how Brexit works. You know, if it carries on being a real problem for Europe, I may have to get them over here and send them from here, but I don't want to. I have a friend in England who sends them out, and she is definitely not one of these people who has everything in neat little boxes. She's had to struggle to get them into little boxes, but she's done really well.
Yes, I love the customer experience as a buyer, so it worked beautifully. But then one of the questions from Saturnarium was also from the Shimmering Veil, that what was your main source of inspiration while doing this deck?
Well, her again. I painted her, but she had these two hands doing nothing. Ow! 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 Sorry. You see her hands?
Yes, perfectly.
And I had some friends up from Europe, from England at the time, and I was saying to the guy, you know, I've got to give her something, but I don't want to have a baby. It's boring. And anyway, she's the high priestess. So he knew that I was really interested in multi-dimensions, the 8th dimension, particularly at the time. And he said, well, why don't you give her a kind of schematic 8-dimensional thing? So that's what I did. And I think it was almost at the same time I was painting another painting called, or about dimensional shift. And I thought, I'll do another tarot. And it can be about dimensions. Now, I don't think there's all that much in the deck about the dimensions in the end, but that's what influenced me. I don't think there was anything else, because I was doing it for myself. I thought it would be good fun. And I had no idea that people would love it. I thought it'd be really quite a difficult deck, you know, with no names on it and the elements. And I was absolutely astonished when it took off. So I have no idea. It was just me, you know.
But I kind of understand, because the first times I saw these images, I thought that I will probably not be able to work with this deck. It kind of looked so different, so unstructured in a way, but no, but still, when I got it, it surprised me the most because it was like I was coming home. Even like the Nine of Swords, you don't need the swords there. You just know what's
Mm,
going on, and this leaves room for the interpretation. That's why I love the toss,
yeah,
because it leaves more room. And
yeah.
the Ten of Swords, you have it all here without it being in your face in a way. So I love it. And but I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting on loving this. But then one card, I know, because I've heard you talked about the two Queen of Fires, that it was your relative or somebody who didn't like the
My
snakes.
sister-in-law, yeah,
Yeah. So that's why you created the lightning. By the way,
yeah.
I used the snake one. I use
Oh
that
yeah,
one,
so do
but
I.
I like it. But this Fool,
Mm,
when you read with the Shimmering Veil, do you keep him in the deck?
yeah,
Yes. I
definitely.
have I haven't found my way of working with him yet. Uh, so I would love to hear your thoughts about this Fool, because I'm hoping to be able to put him, but I don't want him to be in the deck before I know what to do really with him.
Um, well, if you read the IT, the Intuitive Tarot book, you'll find that he appears at the end as well as at the beginning. He appears at the 0 and he appears
Yes.
after the world. And so I think the idea, if I remember right, was just, well, give him a place, because he is so, he, I had these two color ways of him, you know, the light one and the dark one. And I was like, well, actually, if you think about it, the golden fool should be the first one, really.
Yeah.
But I just love the colors in the golden fool. For me, he is something that I can't even really put into words. He's 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about, because I don't have, I can, if I read for myself, yes, I can kind of see it, but if I would have to put it in words, I would struggle. I don't
I
know.
don't think many people would get it. You
Yeah.
know, they just would not get that kind. I mean, if you gave it to the head of the Buddhist thing, who,
Yeah.
you know, him, he might,
Yeah.
but I don't think anyone else would.
Because I think that this card could be something that maybe I would understand better when I'm dead than when I'm still in,
Maybe,
roughly at my
yeah.
maybe in my 40s. I kind of, I don't know. I don't feel worthy. That's kind of the way to reach. This kind of feels so far,
Mm,
so far. I
that's what I
think,
intended.
yeah. So I guess I have at least understood the concept, even though I haven't been able to use him.
Well, as I say, I doubt very much that many people would be able to use him, but he's there because people have this thing about, oh, well, the world is the highest. Actually, it's not.
Yeah, it's the lowest.
Well, it goes round, you know.
Yeah, it goes. But it also tends up being the lowest part.
Mm. I mean, thinking about the Devas, you've got, one of the things I loved about the Devas was that I was able to put in the Kabbalistic idea that you've got creation,
Yeah.
but you've also got 3 cards. No, 3 positions. I don't know if I've got 3 cards, but anyway, you've got Ein, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Ein Sof, and then something else.
Eins
And
of
then you've
Power.
got creation. Then you
Yeah.
got, oh yes, yes. And I love that. So in a sense, that's what I was trying to work with. There's sort of the beginning and the ending is one.
I'm so excited to see when the divas reach me here in Finland to see when the multi-dimensional is ready. So if I'm able to work with them, I'm so excited because I know I have yet to find an oracle deck that I can read, but I'm super excited, and I think that they look beautiful with the shimmering veil at least. But
Yeah.
you pair them mostly with the intuitive, and it works there too.
Yeah.
Amazing. Can't wait to reach them. And then we still have a lot to wait on your other two decks that are on the way.
Yeah. The unfortunately, I can't see the Book of the Dead appearing before early next year, because they all seem to take much longer, and I haven't even sent it to China to start the process yet. They only seem to work on my decks on Saturday for some unknown reason. So yeah, I think it'll take a while, but it's a nice deck. I mean, the readings are so, for me, so light. I couldn't believe it. I did a reading for myself, very unusually, and said, well, I did a reading for the deck, and I said, oh, I can't even remember what I said, but something about, who are you? How do you want me to work with you? Yeah. And it was just gorgeous. They were such lovely cards. I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. I thought it would throw me into the fourth path, which is the lowest path. But I did have an email from somebody the other day who's been working with people who die for something like 18 years. And she was a bit concerned that how I would deal with it, how people would deal with it, with the Book of the Dead. And I wrote back and I said, well, I can't police it, If they want to use it in the wrong way, fine. I put in that it's a deck that you have to be quite careful with. I did a reading for somebody whose mother had died last September, I think it was. And they were really quite dark cards. And I was like, oh, what do I say, I think I said, it's maybe that she's still working through the process, because I think it takes a while. When you first go up, now this is my story, all right. When you first go up, you have a life review. And for some people, that's going to be really tough. God, I hate to think what mine's going to be like. So I sort of passed it off, but I do worry. Okay, hey guys, what do you want to tell honey? Let's see. I hope it's not. If it's a fourth path, we end this interview.
No, keep it.
This is the very second card.
Okay.
It's Spirit Arising, or Spirit Rising. So it's rather beautiful.
It is.
So your first card is Death. Second card is Spirit Arising.
Yeah, but that's the order. You need to.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the tunnel, and then you have the life review. Oh no, you get greeted by a rather beautiful figure. But I can't find it. Hey ho. Oh look, you can go and do courses with the shining beings. And so people will see them as angels. I probably do as well. But there are a whole stack of people who are very confused, and they don't know whether they're living or dead, and they don't know what the hell they are and where they are. They can actually find their way. But I did actually think at the very beginning that it was going to be an illustrated book, but it reads very well. It reads very kindly most of the time as well, which is lovely.
Is there going to be a guidebook like these ones?
Oh God, yes. No, it'll be a bigger one. It'll be the same size as the Devas, because I didn't figure that I could. Those books are a little bit small. The Shimmering Veil in particular is just a bit small.
Yeah, but I kind of it's still better than the standard little white book.
Oh
You
yeah,
have packed
it
you have
is that.
packed a lot of information, and with this one, because you have even the color images, so I think the quality is top notch.
That
As in
cost me
the
1,500 quid because they did it
yeah
all in black and white, and I was like, nope, nope, absolutely not. Take it back, scrub it, do another one.
yeah, but at least I appreciate that extra spent quids, as I do like the edging on this deck. But I think it's also good that you can fit the guidebook in here. For some people,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
it has its points to have a smaller book or a bigger book, even though I put my deck in the pouch. Because
Well, with the Devas, you'll find, well, the whole idea with the Devas is to use your intuition. Don't read the book.
yeah,
I mean, I
and
do read the book. I still read the book. But if you just stay with it, the cards will speak to you.
and that's the way. For some reason, I don't do that with any other decks. I normally always first read the book, but with your decks, for some reason, I intuitively just started to look
Yeah.
at the images and see how they speak to me, no matter if I got it right or wrong, but I wanted to see. And that's kind of, I think, that created the bond between me and the Shimmering Veil, because I let it, I gave it the
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
to speak to me, rather
Yeah.
than trying to push it to fit some specific card meanings in a way. Even though I love the tarot structure, I don't mean that, and I love to have the structure, but I also loved seeing nuances and little details in your deck. And for example, one of the cards that I love in the Shimmering Veil is the ten of wands, 10 of fire.
Hmm.
I can't seem to find it now, but for me
That's quite a
some
challenging card, isn't it?
yeah, but for me some reason it talks about when we think about a relationship where the other person is depressed and the other person is carrying the
Yep.
weight of two people
Yep.
there,
Yep.
and it's nobody's fault, but it still gets heavy on the one carrying the other. And I think that's a beautiful way. He's not carrying the sticks, and he's not just struggling with a mundane thing. He's struggling with the weight that it's much bigger, a whole other person. So
Yeah. There's a surprising number of parasites around, though.
yes, there are in all of our lives, I guess. But it's interesting to see the Book of the Dead, because also, and how to work with that one, because death is such a big thing that not maybe all the normal people want to think about or talk about.
Not at all.
But I guess all of us tarot geeks, we think about those things, and we don't necessarily see the death as plugging out the computer and shutting it. We see it's something much more transformational.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's funny because the Book of the Dead happened, I think I finished the MDD. I think finished the multidimensional Davis probably for February, March last year. And we went into lockdown March the 12th.
Yeah.
And it was exactly around that time that I got the idea of the Book of the Dead. I think it was just before. But it's so right, because everybody has had to face death.
Yes.
Right up front this
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
And nobody likes it much.
No. But it is part of life still. A really natural part of it.
Well, this is the trouble. Humans don't think that we're kind of natural anymore. We think that we're superhuman.
No.
And it's a mistake.
Yes, but nature teaches us.
It certainly has. this last year. Be quiet.
Yes, but I think that we've been on for hopefully somebody has survived into the end of this interview. Let me know if you survived. I don't know if
Who,
I'm going
me
to put
or
somebody as the viewers. We
viewer?
survived. Yes, the viewers. Let's see how many survived. But I'm truly, truly, truly grateful for you giving
It's been
me
great.
your time, because this is an experience that I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life. I love that in the current world that we live in, we have these opportunities
Isn't
that
it fantastic? Yeah.
that we can talk to people who we look up to and who we idolize, and talk about, these beautiful creations and all random stuff around it. So it has been amazing, and I'm gonna continue to do videos on the devas when I get those
Great,
decks at some
fantastic.
point, and can't wait to get my hands on the new decks, especially the old gods. It looks something that none of us has ever seen before.
That's true. I mean, do you think that having 3 gods to 1 major with 1 god on the minors, do you think that's confusing?
No, as far as I saw the cards, they are looking amazing, and I think that it gives the people, because there are people who know a lot more broader spectrum of deities. But then when you have 3 in one card, maybe somebody can find the one that they know for first, and then they can build on with the two other ones there. And I think that's a great way to study and to learn about the mythology behind the deities, because in the Christian world, a lot has been repressed, not forgotten, but you will have to do the work to get to know them.
Yeah, and we don't actually know very much more apart from our little corner of the world. Africa has thousands of deities. South America has thousands, and I'm putting a few in.
Yeah, but I think that's a great way of bringing them out to the public.
I hope so. I'll send you a prototype when it's done.
Can't wait. I'm super excited to see them all. But thank you, Cilla. And
okay, been a pleasure.
And I hope that you can manage to get the interview also with Simon coming up. That was supposed to happen yesterday. So let's hope for that, because I know there are so many more people who can see you there. But I hope that many people can find you also in my tiny channel. And I thank you for taking the time to come to here.
I'll tell people. The fact that you didn't use StreamYard means that at least we can watch ourselves.
Totally.
Okay.
So I hope to talk to you again someday, and I thank you for creating these amazing works of art for us, because even though you have the big one behind you, we still get to enjoy the small ones here. They live with us. So
yeah, great. Okay.
Thank you. And
thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Until next time.